Well, I'm joined now by Giorgio Cafiero, who's the founder and CEO of Gulf State Analytics, a geopolitical risk consultancy focusing on the Middle East. And he joins us live from Washington, D.C. Giorgio, welcome to the News Hour. So how concerning is this moment right now, the UK, France and Germany beginning this process of restoring major UN sanctions on Iran?
Yeah, great to be with you. I certainly think this development is unsettling. I think this is a development that will likely push the situation in the direction of escalation. I think we're going to see the prospects for any sort of diplomatic resolution to the Iranian nuclear standoff dim quite significantly right now. Again, as some of your guests were mentioning a few minutes ago, this doesn't mean that the UN sanctions are coming back today. Rather, this is just the beginning of a 30-day process that I think will probably bring us to that outcome. But there, of course, is a window, granted a very narrow one, for a diplomatic resolution. But without one, I think we're going to see relations between Europe and Iran deteriorate further. And I definitely think that even though Israel might want to resume this war on Iran, regardless of the moves made by European powers, with the Europeans taking this course of action, I think it will result in the Israeli leadership feeling more emboldened to resume strikes on Iran.
Giorgio, that's a very concerning point that you make there, especially as we very often hear that Netanyahu, from our correspondents, that Netanyahu always needs a war. So do you think, as you said, that this could push Iran or Israel towards escalation and for them to continue what they did back in June?
Yeah, I think that's something everyone should be very concerned about. And I think within this context, what we're seeing in Tehran is that the leadership is really focused on trying to learn key lessons from the war that took place in June and to really focus on efforts to establish, or maybe you should say reestablish, deterrence capacity. The Europeans are trying to put pressure on Iran to restart direct negotiations with Washington. But I think everyone in Iran would point out that Iran was engaged in talks with the Americans in Oman and Italy at the time in which the US-backed Israeli war on Iran started on June 13th. So I really think we're moving in a direction where Iran doesn't necessarily see so much that it can gain from diplomatic engagement with the West. And I think Iran is going to really focus on trying to establish deterrence capacity through military means. And of course, there is a nuclear dimension to that calculus.
And on that point that you make about Iran seeing that it can't gain much from diplomatic engagement, we understand that the Iran nuclear deal will expire in October. What exactly will that mean?
Well, of course, this is where things are a little bit complicated. The whole idea of, the snapback mechanism was part of the landmark 2015 nuclear deal. And this is sort of the basis of the action that these European powers are taking, and doing so with full support from Washington. From the Iranian perspective, and it's also a perspective shared by officials in Beijing and Moscow, is that the JCPOA is basically irrelevant because back in 2018, when Trump was in his first term, the U.S. unilaterally sabotaged the deal, and the Europeans didn't do anything meaningful to sort of salvage the JCPOA. So there's sort of different interpretations about what the JCPOA actually means today. But the European line is that Iran is in violation of the agreement, and therefore this is what justifies activating the snapback mechanism. Of course, again, though, from the Iranian perspective, these Western countries are acting in bad faith in doing so.
Giorgio, thank you very much indeed. Giorgio Cafiero, live there from Washington, D.C. Really appreciate your time and thoughts. Thank you.